This is what you Okay. All right. Are we watching? Are
we
you
live
watching
yet?
now? I don't know. Are
Yeah.
you live now?
Are we live yet? Can they hear me?
I don't know. Can they hear you?
Can't. I don't know. Can y'all hear me? Mic check.
I thought
Testing
I thought
one.
you were watching the stream so you could check yourself.
I mean, I am. I'm just not listening to it. I'm watching, just not listening to it.
Oh my god. Well, if you can
Hello,
hear us,
everyone.
hello everyone. Welcome to Waking Up. I am Aroogs, and I am one of the co-hosts. And we're actually in separate rooms now.
We are.
We
That was
are.
quite an experience being in the same room.
I know we need to.
Mhm.
I feel like now we just all need to be prepared. No audio issues, right? Right.
Don't curse it. Hey, Jay, don't curse it. Shh.
I feel like we now need to be prepared, like my office and your office. Like we all need to be prepared to multi-stream in the same room. Like have a camera
Yes.
that we have that's um
Have a setup ready.
have a
Yeah.
setup like I have a camera that's like right here or like in a way because that we could set up that it like
It's your
everyone looks
guest.
good. Like or everybody has their own
Yeah.
camera or whatever, like
There
we
you
need to
go.
set it up like real podcasts, like they do, like the two people in the room.
Yes.
Yes.
Two cameras, two people. We could do that.
We
Yeah,
have
we could
things.
totally do that.
We have ideas. Oh, our
We have things.
ADDs. Our ADDs.
I mean, I got a whole
right now.
separate room that I
I
could set
know,
up for that.
right? Like we could have. Oh, you could have like a whole couch set up. Like it looks like a legitimate podcast, like they do.
A whole couch setup. Yeah,
A whole couch
absolutely.
setup. And with me is Sean, aka Pep Pep.
360. Yeah, we could do a 360 cam too.
Yeah, but I look
That would
weird
be
on a
fun.
360 cam. I don't like it. It's like very fishbowl-y. I don't like how I look on
Fishbowl,
that.
yeah.
I'm very particular with how I
Gotcha.
look on camera.
Yeah.
My body
Do you
dysmorphia
have
is
to-
enough. I don't need that shit in my life. So let's get this disclaimer over with so that we can get on with actually, our show.
Today's topic, whatever it happens.
Whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Here on Waking Up, we are not here to bash anyone's faith or religious beliefs. We think that faith and religion are beautiful things when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy manner. We are not licensed professionals. Anything said on this podcast is our own personal experiences, our own personal opinions. We are not licensed professionals on anything. We're not therapists, counselors, life coaches. Like we're not. We're just two trauma triscuits on the internet, deconstructing our mental and emotional beliefs and reconstructing ourselves as healthy human beings. And we're trying. Sometimes there are construction delays, so it's fine. If you do need professional help, we do have some information that can get you in touch with resources that are professionals and that can actually give you the help that you need. So you can just contact us on all the socials at NerdMomAce and private message us. We're also on Discord, and we would be glad to help you out. Sean and I both grew up in the Carolinas in the 90s, 2000s. We were right in the buckle of the Bible Belt, Billy Graham territory. We were both raised Southern Baptist, which, in case you don't know, Southern Baptists are an evangelical denomination of the Christian faith. They are very strict. Now there are some that are stricter than ours, but we definitely fall into a very strict conservative evangelical upbringing. So yeah, that is where we're coming from, and we are definitely in a lot of therapy trying to unlearn all of that shit. So here we are.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, we're here. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on our journey of trauma. Yeah, you like that. That was well done.
I was busy doing professional shit and already starting in it. Team AOA already started in the motherfucking chat. All right. Okay, cool.
Are you surprised though? I mean,
Fuck no, I'm not. Fuck no, I'm not. I'm not surprised whatsoever.
You'd be shocked if we didn't.
You're right. I would.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. We ready for some trauma and some shit? Are we ready? I don't think y'all are ready. Y'all aren't ready.
Be juicy.
It's gonna be something. It's gonna be juicy or bloody. Either way, it's gonna be moist. So
or both. Is it? Oh my god! Really?
You set me up for that one.
Jay's comment. I was not my comment. You can't come back at me because Jay made.
You made the juicy comment, and here I was. You set me up here. Like here, how you would be mad if I didn't swing it.
I placed the juicy comment right there. There's a comment with juicy right across it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of, okay.
Oh God. Oh Lord.
It's okay. All right. I am not
Give it
going
to
to try
us.
and go into massive detail because of doxing and stuff. So this past week, something as in case you are new here and don't know, my mother and I have been no contact for about 5 years now. And it was definitely some events that happened. I mean, obviously over time as I am, I am unpacking all of my trauma and all of my shit and again deconstructing and trying to rebuild myself. It's been a lot of stuff, but things finally came to I had to make a choice. And so years ago I chose that it's time. I'm going no contact with my mother, and that was for my own mental and emotional health and the protection of my children. As a mom, I'm really concerned about that, and so I was just like, fuck it, I'm done. And it wasn't, honestly, to be quite honest, when I first did it, I didn't think it was going to be a permanent situation. I thought I was like, gonna need some time. And then over time, I'm realizing that boundary is going to be a permanent fixture. So there's some stuff that happened with my mother this week that was really bad and really that was really bad. And so I have been getting updates from my uncle, and I have been talking with my sister, because regardless of how I feel about my mom, I'm trying to support her, and just because I understand the situation that she's in, and so it's very difficult, so I'm trying to support her. And so and I've been getting updates about this situation all weekend long. And I was a wreck. When I first found out, I was a wreck because I was over here wondering, what do I do? Because I kept getting told, maybe it's time to bury the hatchet. And I think the text that bothered me was the one where I just spoke with your sister, and it seems like I've been only getting your mother's side of the story. But don't you think it's about time? Maybe I can help to bridge the gap and bury the hatchet.
Oh.
And of course, with my trauma, and with everything else, like I was torn. Because, I was the caretaker. I was the oldest daughter. I was the caretaker. And again, we've talked about this with my entire family. It's, Aruz will take care of it. Anna will take care of it. It's fine. Or, it's fine. Like we'll pick on her because she'll take it with grace. She'll take it well. Again, just smile through it. No matter what's happening, no matter how you feel about it, you just smile and pretend like nothing's wrong. And I think that was just like, that's still what they think about me. And I was over here questioning, because the thing that was happening with my mom, to be quite honest, and I try to be honest on this podcast, like I didn't feel anything toward to the situation that was happening to her. I'm like, she put herself here again, unnecessarily, whatever. Yeah. And again, like 5 years ago, here it is. Except this time I'm in a different place and I'm in a different situation, so I feel differently. But again, I was triggered because, again, it was a repeat. This is not something that is new. And that's the problem I'm having right now with like these, because I'm in these group chats with like all like her friends and all of this stuff, and I'm getting updates, and it's like they have no idea. Like they're just within like a year or two. They've known her for a year or two. I'm like, let's rewind 5 years ago. And I did a timeline. Or how about 7 years ago? Or 8 years ago? Or, and it's one of those, you have no idea. So here I am again. And I was a little triggered. So I was panicking, because the thing is that after that text with my uncle, he's like, well, maybe is it time? Am I in that place? And I'm not even upset. Like, if something were to happen, how would I feel about that? And I was more upset honestly, about the whole thing, I was more upset and angry that these people think that I am this cold, heartless monster. And that's the impression that they have. They have no idea. They have no idea who I am. Most of these people have no idea who I am. And my uncle, he has no idea. None. Now my shit's all over the internet and I'm like, how do you not know? But okay, if you're only getting that side of the story, I'm like, how do you not know? But sure. And it's like these people, and I was like more upset that these people are going to think like, if I didn't show up, if I didn't show concern, if I didn't respond, if I didn't do any of these things, if I didn't rush to her side, if I didn't bury the hatchet, I was more upset about what that would make me look like than I was about the situation. Because my inner child is like, I want them to know. My inner child is like, I've spent my entire life being told by this woman to pretend like everything's okay and pretend like everything's fine, to pretend and lie and make her look good because I was not feeling upset. And it's like, what the fuck? These people have this impression that I am this monster, this cold, heartless monster, all because I have a fucking boundary. What the hell?
They don't know. They don't know. And how, but have you talked to these people? Have any of these people talked to you, or are you, they're all they know is the situation that's before them. You're the oldest daughter. You're part of this group chat. These are people like from the last couple of years, right? So these are people that don't know any of the history.
Or me at all. Except for Jan. Except for Jan. Jan's in there.
Yes, and Jan knows. Yeah, and Jan knows.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you what my therapist tells me.
Oh, I would love to hear what your therapist tells you. Huh. Go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. So whenever this type of thing comes up in my therapy, my therapist looks at me and goes, "And what if they do? So what?"
Oh, my therapist said that. Oh, because I had an emergency appointment. That's how tore up I was about this. Just BT dubs, people. Yeah. I look okay right now. I was not okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, she said, she goes, you don't owe them anything.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
And I know, and see, that's where the logic brain and the emotional brain and the trauma brain all come in, because logically I know that. But the inner child part of me is, and I think it's because all my life I have been made out to be one thing when the truth is something different. And I had to, and I was conditioned to keep my mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was conditioned to accept, this is the impression that you get of me, and that's the impression that I've got to accept. Yeah. No, and there's a part of that in my healing that I do. I can't force other people to think however they're going to think whatever they want about me, and they're going to feel however they want about me, and that's fine. But just like your mom, think about your mom. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She still sees you as this lovely Christian boy who's completely obedient and like whatever.
She's and she still sees me as it took me a while to realize that she still sees me as a kid. Like, she doesn't treat me, she hasn't treated me as an adult for pretty much my entire life. And I didn't realize that until within the last year or two, that she was still treating me that way. And that's where some of the boundaries have come in. Like, no, we're not going to, I'm an adult. I do not have to accept what you're saying. I do not have to accept what what you want to talk about. And I can walk away. I can say no. Hey, Mom, I'm an adult. Deal with it.
Are you ready for a revelation that I just had?
Oh, yes, please.
Do you think that our generation, because a lot of our parents still treat us as kids. A lot of our generation, that's why we go no contact. That's why we do all these things.
Oh, you think I'm 200 pounds? Oh my God, Calvino, thank you. I appreciate that.
Aw. Do you think that maybe that we went no contact and that our parents still treat us like children is because they were not involved in our lives?
Mhm.
So they like because they were just like we were the latchkey kids. We were the like
Yes.
so they never watched us grow up. They just
Yes.
showed up on
Uh-huh.
like they were never involved in our lives. So the thought of us actually maturing and growing and doing those things is they are incapable of that because they weren't involved.
Yeah. I that's a good revelation. I think that's there's some accuracy to that. It's funny is we grew up latchkeys, so it was like we were forced to survive. That's why a lot of us are so hyper dependent or hyper independent. Is we figured it out, and that's why a lot of people talk about like the Gen X and the elder millennials leave us alone. We're like that's
Yeah,
how we learned to survive and live was we just figured it out, and so like
come
they
at me,
missed.
because
Yeah, come at me.
I got you, boo. I know how to cut you and clean it up. Like what?
Exact right. And so that's how they thought they were successful parents if we grew up to be adults. Like that was simply their goal is to get us to survive to become an adult. Um and so now we're like, but what's funny about that is it's almost contradictory where they were pushing us to become adults. That's all they were caring about, making sure we could become adults. And then we're an adult, and then they want to treat us like we were a kid. They want to think of us still as the kid. I'm like, no, I'm an adult and I can make adult decisions. So here's a boundary. There's an adult decision right there.
Ooh, do you think
Um,
it's because like, because they were so absent in our lives and they treated us basically like adults when we were kids, that is just like
mhm,
how they feel like that's the dynamic that we have. Like
mhm,
they were absent in our lives and so when they show up, they can do whatever they want because that's what they did when we were children.
mhm. We were children acting as adults. Now we're adults, and they still want to think of us as the kid because we were always acting like an adult because
Mhm.
we're trying to survive.
Mhm.
So we're still acting like an adult, and they still see us as a kid. That is anyone doesn't know that is a real thing. There are
Commercials,
commercials. I
yeah.
mean, PSAs. The news would come on at like 10 o'clock. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are at?
Because there was such an uptick in missing children. Like I don't like
Mm-hmm.
that like I would never
Yeah.
never no, I mean and now millennials because they have the helicopter parents and then now my generation raising Gen Alpha like Gen Alpha has like GPS and all of this stuff. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's that. But our generation
The
oh
whole
fucking
go
clue.
play outside and like we'd play outside until the street lights came on, and then sometimes we'd play even longer until the parents 10 o'clock hit and the little it's 10 p.m. You know where kids are at, and then you'd hear your name scream down from the neighborhood, down. Yeah,
I lived
you'd be
in
on
the
this neighborhood and
country.
you hear it scream.
I lived in the
And
country. Like I
yeah,
had field on either side of me. I didn't go in. I didn't they knew
yep.
where I was.
I had
I was
woods.
within like 5 feet. Like
Yeah. Well, I wasn't necessarily in 5 feet, but it was like there was woods around us. But I could see the neighborhood, like you can see the lights and stuff on the neighborhood. So we just learned to do our own thing. We learned to just entertain ourselves and raise ourselves in a way. Um, and I think they have a hard time seeing us not as adults because we were always trying to be adults, and they have a
I
hard time seeing us as kids
I
or not as kids.
I find myself
Mhm.
in my journey and all of this. I find myself fighting that urge to explain and to defend myself.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
because these people have this impression of me, even if they've known
Mhm.
me and it's not like they've known me for so long. For example, this like I said at last waking up, I came across somebody from my past and it's
Mhm.
like they have this impression of me in their head. And it's so hard for me. I take accountability for the things that I need to take care, but it's so hard for me not
Mhm.
to like cuz he's like finding closure and that's fine and not just just blow up his texts and blow up his emails with just like, here's how I change, here's what I make accountability for, here's all these things, because like it's
Explain yourself.
explain
Yeah.
state your purpose. Like I'm so like I'm trying to like not
Absolutely. You want to prove, there's such an urge to prove who you are and that you're not that person.
right.
Absolutely.
Right. As the people pleaser, I
Mhm.
want them to like I feel responsible to change their opinion and change their view of me. I feel responsible because
Responsible.
that's my
Yeah.
trauma. My trauma is if somebody's mad or upset, it is my job to do what I have to do and to earn
Mhm.
whatever it is to change their mind. When the reality
Yeah.
is, no matter what I do, if they aren't willing to open and be observant and be and have an open objective conversation with me,
hmm
then nothing I do is going to change their mind.
And that's why it can be so difficult to reconnect with people from your past, is because both people have to be willing to accept the reality and figure out how to consolidate the two, how to reconcile the person they knew with the person who is in front of me.
It is possible though.
Right? It is possible. We're proof of that.
We
It
are
is
proof of
possible.
that.
It
It is
is
possible.
but it is not easy.
And it doesn't completely go away.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's always, because the nervous system never forgets. Especially, it's one thing if you two people just kind of drifted apart. It's still difficult. It's still be difficult because you shouldn't be the same person you were that many years apart. But when there's trauma between the two, which I'm speaking firsthand because Arugs and I we created a lot of trauma within each other.
Mhm.
That's really, because as we've said in the past, we have triggered each other a lot.
We continue to trigger each other.
We still, that's how I kind of shifted that to a present tense. We trigger each other a lot because we have similar wounds and we have different wounds. And some of our wounds are cyclical. I trigger you, and then your response triggers me, and then
thanks
it's like,
for contributing to my BPD abandonment wound. Thank you for that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for being.
That is a tough one for me to forgive myself for, by the way. That is very difficult for me. But I'm working on it.
Yeah. I love we both have our emotional support mugs. We're like, okay, all right. It's like,
it's bad when both of us grab the emotional support mug. So it is possible, but you have to be willing to put it to the work. And it's not going to work with everybody. And some people don't want to. They just don't want to.
Okay. All right. So speaking of impressions, like that whole adage about you can only make one first impression. Like that whole, you can only make the first impression once, which is true.
Yeah.
But I hate that. Like, I really hate that because it's a set mindset and it's a very judgmental mindset.
Puts a lot of pressure on that first moment.
Yeah. And they never, and here's the thing, you never know what you're meeting. It's like some people can be meeting me on a really bad day and that's not who I am.
Yeah.
But so that's like encouraging you to mask. Always make a good impression. And
on top of that, not only could you be having a bad day, but they could be having a bad day too, and their bad day could absolutely color their first impression of you.
And how many times have we gone, you are not what I first thought about, like you are not at all what I thought you were when I first met you. Like that's like, how many times have we said that?
Yeah,
or thought
that's not what I expected.
Yeah, you're like, oh, like because it's like I'm just weighing so much importance on that first impression. That first gut reaction is so unfucking fair.
We develop a lot of expectations around the people in our lives. Especially people that we haven't met. Our community, they've seen us, on the stream, but some of them haven't met us in real life. And so you kind of develop this impression of what they look like based upon what we see and what we know. And so when you meet them, it's like, oh wow, you're taller, shorter, prettier, not whatever. Like there's so many different things that could be. And are you willing to accept that? Are you willing to go, okay, so what is the impression or what is the idea compared to what is the reality of it?
Right.
And that is hard for some people to reconcile. That's where the pedestal comes in. It's they just develop this. That's something that you've dealt with for much of your life, for probably your entire life, is that pedestal.
I fucking hate that pedestal.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
But yeah, it's so people have an impression of you, and then people meet you. And how does that impression hold? Are they willing to adjust? See, that's the first impression. Oh, you never just make first impression. That's a ton of pressure on that one moment on both sides. Why can't we just go, that was the first impression, so what? Okay, maybe it was a good one, maybe it was a bad one. We say we want to make a good impression, but what if that good impression is also a mask? And what if that's what if that's
fake?
Not really how
it's always fake.
It is. It's almost always
not
fake,
who you
especially
are.
when there's high expectations. When you build up that, I got to make a good first impression. Well, then you're masking. You're guaranteed going to be hiding everything, and so you're not dealing with reality. We don't know how the other person is going to impact. What's funny is we're masking to show what we believe they want to see. How do we know that that's even what they want to see?
And it's fucking exhausting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you're never in the present at that moment. Because you're
always wondering,
you're always
interpreting,
hyper vigilant and doing all the things. And it's such bullshit. Because it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you're an overthinker, it doesn't end then. It then carries with you. Once you walk away, then you're over analyzing every nuance of the conversation.
Shut up, get out of my head. Shut up.
Oh, I'm in my head too.
Listen, and just the need to just and actually there's a friend of mine who he messaged me earlier this week and was like, talking about how he has a very extensive vocabulary and he is very it's very formal. The way he writes is very formal. His writing, texting, voice is very formal. Mm-hmm. I've accepted that as who he is because he's been that way ever since I've known him. And but his talking voice, his talking personality is very different. They're very two different things. And I said, he's like, well, I said, well, you do come off as pretentious and a know-it-all, but the reason that you come off that way is because you don't acknowledge it. Like, you know it. Mm-hmm. And you accept, because the way we were having the conversation, you've accepted that that's a part of who you are. Mm-hmm. But you don't acknowledge that. And in the going, hey, I know I'm coming off this way, but this is why I'm coming off this way. I am truly not this way. I am aware of this. I am aware that this is the impression that I am making. Mm-hmm. But that is not what my personality is. And so in turn, that's showing I know the impression that I'm making. This is who I am. Self-awareness. I'm accepting that this is the impression that I give off. But that is not who I am. That is not how I think, and that is not how I feel. And asking that whole, ask you to give me time to get to know me before for passing a permanent judgment.
That's a good point.
And and another person's going to be more going, oh, okay, so he's aware of that. He's coming off that way, which means anybody who's not narcissistic will be like, because narcissistic people don't acknowledge their flaws. They don't acknowledge these things. So it's like, so they are self-aware. So they're going to be, that's going to open that up. He's not changing their first impression. He's just asking them to go, can you please go beyond this first impression that you are getting from me?
Gotcha.
And I was like,
that makes sense.
I gave him that advice and went, I should take my own advice.
But that okay, so that begs the question: how much are we responsible for the other person's impressions?
You're not. That's not saying, "Hey, I'm changing who I am for your
Mm-hmm.
impression." What that is
Yeah.
that I'm aware that this is the impression that I'm giving off, that I usually give off.
Usually give off. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this
There you
is the
go.
impression that I usually give off to people.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's not that you're
I can see
going,
that.
"Hey, you can't."
I want to make sure that you know this.
But Pep, I got a question for you.
Oh God,
I'm
no. Okay, hold on. Wait.
I
Okay,
love
I'm ready.
I love how you know that is now the phrase of okay.
Mm-hmm. Here's some introspection.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How much
Yes.
time do you spend not doing something because of fear of the impression that your first impression that you're gonna give off?
You looking for percentages? Um, oh, a lot. A lot.
Uh-huh.
That is something that I have worked on. That's why my therapist often responds with, "So what?
Uh-huh. I know. That's why I was
Why does it
asking.
matter?" Yeah. That is something that used to govern my life a lot. And I think it has less control now. Because I'm more aware of it, and I try to deal with that. Because my inner child is so worried about the impression, about looking bad, um, being perceived as something that I feel that I am not.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, but it still happens. It's like it's more for me. It's more managing. It's managing that inner child and talking to the inner child and going. First of all, the spotlight effect. Second of all, if I'm being who I am, doesn't matter. If I don't try something, then I'm never gonna like how many things am I depriving myself of because I'm afraid of what someone might think. And it's always much, much worse in my head. The idea of like, well, someone's gonna think this thing of me.
I think it's just like because you get so worked up a lot of times.
Mhm,
You and I have a bunch of those discussions. You get so worked up. Like I
mhm,
ask you, like, why
mhm.
didn't you do this? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're afraid of failing on the first try and you're afraid that they're gonna think you're a failure because you messed up?
Or yeah. That
I was like,
they're gonna think
argue me,
something.
argue that point, argue that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I can't. They're gonna think something that is different than the way I perceive myself. So here's a good example.
Okay.
This is probably the most common one that I find. There are people that I have worked with, or my personal life, where they have no problem being like, yeah, I don't know how any of this works. Can you help me understand this? Like my boss used to do that. Yeah, I'm like the least smart person in this room. Can you like explain to me like I'm a 6-year-old? Like he had no problem saying I don't know how any of this works. The funny thing is he knew how everything worked, but he was quick to say I don't know because that disarmed the other person. I can't do that. I can't look at you if I know something. I can't look at you and go, yeah, I don't know how that works.
I
Can
know
you talk
you
to me
don't.
like it?
I know. And even
Oh
when you don't know,
yes. Even when I don't know, I try
that's
to.
the part that was like, even when you don't know, you're like, I'm gonna pretend like I
And Rooks
do.
is I'm sitting here trying to pretend like I do, and the whole time Rooks is going, "Oh my god, just stop! You don't know, just stop."
My favorite, yeah, is when you're kind of doing what I mean. I'm like, okay.
How long do I let him go before I just
Usually I let you dig your hole pretty deep.
you,
I'm
you,
like,
d- you yeah
and then I'm like, okay, you done? All right, so we're gonna fix it in
yeah or
one,
yeah
2, and 3.
okay
And then you're like,
3
I was like, yeah, I just called your ass out.
yeah yeah
No, but it
I
is that.
uh-huh
It is that.
yeah
I had to make the
admit
impression that I was because I had to be non-threatening.
hmm
I had to play Southern stupid is what my mom used to call it.
yeah
If I wanted to have a healthy relationship, I had to play
Mhm.
stupid and second to any man that I was with.
You and your mom's perspective of that is completely opposite. She was like, "You need to do this in order to accomplish whatever," and you're looking at it going, "I don't wanna do that. If that's what I have to do, I don't wanna do
But
that."
I did it.
Right?
I did
But
it.
but you did it because you thought you had to.
Right.
But, like, now, what I'm saying is, like, your perspective of it now.
Oh yeah, I tell my kids, I'm like, no, I give my kids the opposite advice. I'm like,
Mhm.
you need to find yourself a partner because I mean, I'm not gonna, you need to find yourself a partner who's gonna embrace your weird and embrace your
Mhm.
intelligence and not be
Yes.
threatened by that.
Yes. Ooh, that last part. Yeah, that last part.
Not be
That's a
threatened
big
by that.
one.
Yeah. And here's the other thing:
Mhm.
it's like my intelligence is not a fetish, folks. So many men are like, oh, I like a smart, intelligent woman until it comes till they come confronted with that information and going,
Mhm.
oh, she really is smarter than me and she's more talented than me. And then all of a sudden, it's not so sexy anymore.
It's when it turns it's one thing when it's pointed outward. It's another thing when it turns inward to that person in the relationship, and then they're like, "Whoa, hold on, wait a minute." It's the same thing where, like, I want a partner who is strong and sassy and, like, doesn't care and just goes for it, and, like, it's fine. Like, you want that strong, independent, sassy until that turns at you, and then you're like, "Whoa, wait, that hold on, that's not turn. Can you turn it back around to other people?" Like, it's yeah, whew, yeah. When that strong sass comes towards you, you're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, is this what I wanted?"
Trauma triggered,
Yeah,
deflected.
yeah.
But let's
Force field.
yes, but let's turn this around.
Uh
The
huh.
story of my sister's life. Her biggest. Oh my God, your sister is amazing. I want to marry your sister.
Mm-hmm.
MJ's amazing.
Wait, can I officiate? I haven't done one yet.
I know you. I know we haven't done one. But
I haven't had my first. Yeah.
aw. Anyway, but let's turn this around into the male aspect. So many women are
Hmm.
just like, I want a man who's in touch with his feeling and communicative, and has is one of those. I don't want one of those big, strong, blah 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 men. And then when it comes
Hmm.
to the time where they are, hey, I would like to talk to you about how I feel about this. The woman automatically is just like, oh, like that's not like real men don't cry, like.
That
What?
is a thing.
Because a lot of
That is.
times it's when it's turned to them, when the man is like, no, I want you to be accountable for you hurting me. I am hurt by you,
Yes.
and admitting that they are hurt by you, or admitting and then all of a sudden the girl has to be accountable, the female, or if you're in a, like that, the other person has to be accountable. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, that's not no, like
I don't like that. Yeah.
no.
No.
Oh,
They
because you're
they
being held
and
accountable because you're that man's actually being vulnerable with you, and that's the whole like, oh, that infuriates me.
and then the vulnerability gets weaponized, and then they wonder why the partner shuts down. That is absolutely a thing.
Oh yeah,
That's it. It is a struggle for men to become vulnerable because even if the person they're with hasn't done that, the people in their past, I would say there's just about always one person in their past that has done that has weaponized their emotions, weaponize that vulnerability. And all it takes is really, it's sad. All it takes is that one time.
ah,
All it takes is that one time of weaponized vulnerability that they shut down, and breaking that, because those defenses go straight up as soon as that happens. And to break down that wall is very difficult. It takes a lot of patience, and a lot of people don't have that patience, and
mm-mm.
so they hit that wall, and if they don't have the patience to work through that, then it just reinforces what they end up doing, is reinforcing the wall.
And
And
that goes
then
back to that impression, because then all of a sudden you
Mhm.
have the impression of your partner that you were vulnerable, and now they don't want to support you or they don't want to listen to you and they only want you a certain way. So then
Mhm.
you try to pretend to be whatever it is that they want to be with, if you want
Mhm.
to try to maintain that relationship. You get that impression that they don't care and that they're going to weaponize it
Mhm.
against you.
Yeah.
and you carry that with you.
Mm-hmm. You carry, yeah, that's the baggage. That's that piece of luggage that you're dragging behind you into the next relationship.
I always overpack. So it's pretty.
There you go.
That piece of luggage is overweight and busting at the seams, and it's fine. You should unpack that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure. How is it people go through life with a carry-on? I never understood that.
I've
got a carry-on, a personal item, a checked bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, have you seen the size of some people's carry-ons?
Yeah. Shut up! Don't call me out like that.
What? Oh! I'm sorry. My bad. If the carry-on fits.
I think that the thing where I've gotten to my healing is accepting the fact that people are going to have their own thoughts and feelings and impression of me,
mm-hmm.
and having to accept that. Because in the past, I would take that impression and I would wear it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's what they think about me, so I am going to personify that.
Ooh.
So that's why it was so easy for me to be a chameleon. You know, I was like, that was my trauma superpower. I was hypervigilant. And so in that turn, hypervigilance and in that, and all of that trauma of having to people please and make people happy, I was able to interpret and see what their impression of me was, and then embrace that and become that, and how I could easily do that from group to group within the same setting, same social event, say like a business dinner or whatever. And that's why at the end of all the social events, I would just be, oh, she's so extroverted and all these things. I was exhausted.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that after we rebooted those, whenever you had to attend some of those events. It was exhausting for you when you were done, because you're always trying to mask and then change the mask and adjust it, and you're constantly adjusting who you project.
What I can say, what I can't say, how I like, even my own, like how I carry myself, my hand, how I like down to my hand gestures,
how you interact,
my verbal, my face. Like I can do one face with one group and another face. Like it's that, and, you know, they call it code switching too. It's always that. And it's just like constantly switching all the time. And it's like, oh, she's so full of energy. And she just like, but no, my battery was drained because I'm trying to keep up with these people's impression of me. And I'm trying to keep up the idea that this is who I am. Yeah. And I'm like, why? What is that?
It completely drains your emotional, mental battery. That tank is empty because you're not being yourself. So it takes a lot of effort to do all that.
I know.
Overweight bag fee, yeah. Airlines. All right.
What is the worst impression? What do you think is the worst impression that you've ever given to somebody?
Define worst.
Like that was completely off base of who you are. Like you talk to somebody and they're like, I totally thought you were X. And when they like actually got to know you, you were not at all what they thought you were.
The first one that comes to mind is the first time I went to India. So for anyone who doesn't know, I went to India 2018, I think, for the first time to do training. We had hired a bunch of new people and I was training them. So I went in there, and of course I went in there, and they got professional Sean, which if anyone's never seen professional Sean, it's quite
hot.
Different.
It's hot. It's very commanding.
It's very, there is no lack of confidence when it comes to professional Sean. And so there's like 30 people in this room, and I am training them, and I'm telling them, this is what we do. This is how we work. This is the expectation of you. And like, it wasn't like I didn't do anything different than I normally would. I was just, there are these 30 people, and I've got to be with them for 2 weeks. And so I've got a ton of stuff, and I'm going to hammer it home. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm 12. All right, go ahead.
And so they're like stone faced and like trying to. And it wasn't until but that's me in the professional. But then I would go out with them afterwards, and they were all like freaked out. Like they were acting very standoffish, aside from a couple people. And I got to talking to one of them, and she informed me, she was like, "You were so like when we'd go out to dinner, a bunch of us would go out to dinner almost every night." And she'd be like, "You were so not who you were in training." She's like, we're scared of you in training. Like you are scary. You're intimidating. Oh my God, like you come across very harsh. Like you take nothing from anybody, and you're just mean and very. But like, then we go after work, and like you're totally not that at all. Like you're funny and you're interesting and you're like relatable and okay. Yeah, but it's a completely like they all were they did not like me. They thought I was very mean. A lot of them still do.
Wow.
I know, right?
I have seen you in that way. Like I can see you getting off that vibe. I've seen you be an asshole every now and then. Now I know that there are people who watch our streams and been part of our community for a long time who can't believe that. No, Sean can be an asshole.
In a professional setting, yes. I can be.
Pro Sean. We've been getting amateur Sean this whole time.
Like some people like amateur. No,
get out. Get out.
I can be 12 too. Oh. So that's probably one of the stark differences in impression that I give. So what about you?
Oh shit. I had $1 for every time I gave like people had the wrong impression of me. Oh my God. I'd be a rich lady.
Now is that in the last couple of years, or are we talking
just all my entire life? I mean, yeah, in the past couple of years, okay, like that's given. But even in the past couple of years, with me being healed, it's so. First off, the people who get the impression of streamer Arugs, and though now versus 2020 Arugs, like that gap has shrunk with who I am on stream versus who I am in real life. It's shrunk a little.
Just watch Erase the Face. Anybody? It's on YouTube. Sorry.
All my old content. I can't with that. I can't. I can't. Like that. You know what? I leave it up there as a reminder. I leave that up there of like, okay, you know what? Growth is possible.
Yeah.
Because like people often some people, depending on when they meet me and what situation they meet me in, I don't know how many people are absolutely terrified of me and intimidated by me.
I was one of them. I even told you that soon after we rebooted. Remember, I told you, I was like, you're intimidating.
I'm and at the time I was so traumatized, I would have like rolled over for any. I mean, now I don't. Now it's like a Rug's cutlery. I mean, I will cut you. I don't care. But and the biggest one is people think because I am, and I wish I could say this just stopped with strangers, but a lot of like my friends and all this stuff, because I am sexually secure and I do not find sex a subject that is like, I can freely have a conversation about sex and your sexuality and people's sexual fantasies and all this stuff I approach it in a curiosity way and in a very educational way, like information. Let's talk information.
It's an informational conversation.
Right. Most people misinterpret that as I'm talking about this so that you can imagine me doing these things to you. And I'm like, that is not at all what this is. Like, and it's just like, I am not out to sleep with everyone. I want to have these conversations because I find it fucking fascinating. I find sex fascinating. I find kinks fascinating. I find all of these things like it is fascinating because it is human psychology and like,
human psychology and sexuality is a fascinating topic.
Yes.
And how people respond to it. Because it's really
different.
Yeah, and it's deep core into who you are, and it's not surface at all.
Even
It's
in your
very
repression,
mhm.
even in those who are sexually
Yeah.
repressed, even those that grew up conservatively,
Mhm.
like all of these things, like it is all like it is fascinating. But they think that like especially like I have to be really careful about these
She's
conversations.
talking to me about sex, so she must wanna have sex with me.
I have must have met the soft and cuddly Anna. Oh, you did. You did. Uh I very after all of this, I very rarely bring out that destructive. There is a part of me that I can get incredibly cruel and very destructive. And
Mhm.
Sean's seen that side
It's
of
when you
it.
use the
It's fine.
I have. It's when you use the trauma superpowers for evil. That is still there. It is not gone through no matter how much therapy, it's still there.
Luckily, Sean's seen it here recently. He's seen it when it's towards somebody else and not towards him. So he got to see it as a third party participant. He's like,
Yeah.
he literally was
I've
like,
seen it on both sides, but yeah.
he's like,
Oh,
am I going to be like an accomplice? Like, is
yeah.
that like,
Careful, this makes it premeditated.
yeah, I don't give a
Yeah, the people it is easy for people to get to get an impression of you, to develop an idea of Anna. What
That is so true.
y- yeah,
The more
which is part of what we as we built Team AOA, that was one of the things that we wanted to address is people had started to get this impression of us of individually of these characters that we had kind of created that may have just been a one-time thing that seemed to kind of take on a life of their own, and we didn't mean for that to happen, and we didn't necessarily want that to happen, but it did. And so we have as part of Team AOA, we're like, whoa, let's take a step back from these things that are not us, and let's decide whether or not we want this. It's fine if you want to take on a persona and carry it forward, as long as you want to do it because you want to do it, not because you feel like it's being forced on us. And I think like for years, people's impression of us was forced on us, and we felt forced to carry that on, even though we didn't want to. And our trauma made that easier. My trauma makes me susceptible to do that, to want to do that. You think a certain thing of me, oh well, then I'll just become that. I'll just be that. Even though I'm like, I'm not. That's not who I am. So yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, facts. I was reading that
mhm.
conversation. Okay, I am so
Yeah.
tired of this. It's being a pain in my butt. Oh. Okay, so what is your biggest fear? Like, what is your biggest fear of, like, what kind of impression do you, okay, no, let me rephrase that. Pause,
Mhm.
rephrase. What kind of impression are you always trying to give off?
I
And
was trying to
w-
give off.
now remember, you're still like we're still traumatized. So saying, "Oh, I want to give off who I
Yeah.
am," is not an honest
No.
answer. So I mean,
I mean
that's
that's the
the
ideal, but that's
goal.
not really what
That is
we're.
a
That's the
goal,
goal.
and we
Yeah.
can accept that. I can accept that, and that is the goal. But we all
Uh,
if we're being truly honest on this podcast, if we're doing, which we're trying to be, um, what type of impression do you try to give off when you're like meeting people
um,
or hanging around people?
intelligent, funny. My go-tos go-tos are jokes. Um, I want people to think I'm funny. I want people to think I'm intelligent. I can't stand if somebody thinks I'm not intelligent. That gets me because I see that's how I see myself. I Whether or not I am that's how I see myself. And so yeah, those two things that I want people to see, and those are I put them forward quickly
At the expense of others.
at times. Yes. But But that also makes me like the intelligence. The problem with that one is it's easy to come off as pretentious instead. So yeah. And your face has subtitles, right?
I literally at the airport flying is like, mom, fix your face. Like I literally had like my Nora tell me to fix my face. Like, when you demask and you finally stop having like you're constantly aware of your facial expressions. I'm like, No, I mean, you're right. I think that is one that is very important to you. I think, coming off as being, yeah. And it does, I think it comes off as, I don't know. Pretentious is not the word. That's not how it comes off. No, I think it's, very much in you're trying to keep up. Like,
trying too hard.
Yeah. Like,
gotcha.
You're telling the jokes and you're trying to prove that you're smart and talented, and it's like you're trying to prove yourself. It's not pretentious, because pretension is like it comes off very much like you're trying very hard.
No, that makes sense. It does. Yeah. Like, please like me. Please like me. I need you to like me.
Like a golden retriever.
What? Crap. Like a golden crazy. What? Yes.
I like your golden retriever energy. I don't know why you don't like being called a golden retriever, because I like it. I know you don't like being called a golden retriever, but I think it's so descriptive.
There was a point where I felt it was demeaning. But I think that was, I don't know if that was me and like how I saw myself. I didn't see myself that way, therefore I don't like it. Or how much that it was pushed. I feel like it was being pushed on me.
Gotcha.
And I think because there was a point where it became very consistent and very hammered home. Like, this is how you are. This is how you are. And I didn't see myself like that. And I didn't like that. So I was like, you're trying to force something on me that I wasn't willing to accept.
Okay. Well, what changed?
But therapy.
I think is that the answer for everything. That's our answer for everything. It's fine.
I mean, it's looking at it as not as a derogatory thing. I was kind of taking a step back and looking at it as, okay, what does that mean? That means, and I tried not to be. That was the thing. I remember when that became a big thing at one point, like a couple years or two ago. And like I was like, no, that's not what I am. And I kept trying to be something else. I'm not a golden retriever, and here's what I really am, and I'm going to prove it to you. And that did not work out well. And so I realized that it wasn't that I'm something different, because if I was something different, then I would be who I am, and I would be showing who I am, and it would be fine. I swung the other direction to prove that I wasn't that, but that wasn't who I am. So it worked out worse for me, because then I was fighting who I am. And I was like, okay, so maybe I need to take another look at that. Like, what is it? What it really doesn't mean. And I also think it kind of pulled back a little bit because when we talked about it, and it became less of this is, regardless of what you call it, here is the energy, here's like the behavior, and here's the energy. I'm like, okay, so is that really who I am? And am I okay with that? And I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, well, that does make sense. That is who I am. When I feel like I'm being myself, that is what I'm doing. That is, and am I okay with that? Am I like, I find myself like, okay, yeah, that's who I am. Okay, I'm that person. It's like I started to accept myself, and that's when I realized that wasn't being used derogatory. At least for the most part. And so I'm like, okay, well, that is who I am. And that's okay. It's okay to be who I am. Yeah.
What kind of impression do I give off? Let's ask that.
Um, what kind of impression do you give off now? Ooh.
No one knows. No one knows what kind of impression I give off. That's fine. That's cool. You really do give off, though. I mean, you really do give off golden retriever energy. Like, right? Like when I watch you say, like, you are just like that. You're happy and you're like, yes. And even when you're like, it's like a con. Even when you're in work mode at con, like you're still like happy and pep like. You are like, here, do you want some snacks? Here, do you like you give off that happy, bubbly energy. Like, so it's like it's hard to describe you as anything else but golden retriever. But seeing you even with strangers, well, then you got that awkward like, hey, I'm on a mission, roll this. Like
sometimes it happens. That's a difference between being in my head and not being in my head.
Oh.
That's it. The thing that made the Comic Con, the Comic Clues and Con Carolina's work is keeping myself out of my head. When I just did the thing instead of thinking about the thing, it worked. That's when I was just like, that was who I am. It's when I get in my head that I try to become something that I think I'm supposed to be, and then it goes wrong. Or I start worrying about what people think. If I'm out of my head, I'm just going to do whatever.
You don't care. Like when you're out of your head, it's just like,
yeah. And that's I think that's part of where I realized when I'm not overthinking it, when I'm out of my head, I am who.
I mean, that's exactly what it was. I'm on a quest. You want to roll the dice? I was like, you're a serial killer? Like, what is that?
Yeah. The impression that you give off. You give off confidence. But you give off I don't have it all together. Like I think you're pretty close to you used to not be. That's why I said who you are now versus is the impression you give off now. Because I think you've worked really hard to give off the impression of who you actually are. Whereas in the last couple of years, you didn't. So with all the times that you go live and that you have these real conversations, that's why I think people actually have a better chance of getting to know you because you give them a chance to know you. I think you really do you give off the impression that you really try to show that you are a real person and that you're not this idea that people create of you, which, yeah. So,
thank you.
Yeah. I think that's accurate. What I want to be careful of is people don't like in the past, people never saw the struggles. And now you let them in. You wouldn't let anybody see struggles. And so people thought you were this, I can do anything, I can accomplish anything, I've got it all together. And then people didn't know how to deal with you when you had struggles. And so
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's one trauma. Two.
Yeah.
That's also, I have discovered with people with borderline personality, what happens is that the person with borderline, because of their attachment issues and because of their fear of abandonment, they'll take on a persona of whoever they're with. So it will be all of a sudden, like they could, like all of a sudden they like hard rock and they're the emo phase and just, ripped jeans and black makeup and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden the person breaks up for them. They're totally devastated till they find a country boy. And all of a sudden it's John Deere and country and all of these things. And so in that, finding the impression of who I am is like, I have to be really careful and aware of that. Like, and I didn't know who I was, to be quite honest. Like, because I spent
Yeah.
all of my life like taking on that persona because of my mental illness, that trying to go, what do you want?
It's-
Who are you? I'm like, oh, fuck me, no.
it, and then trying to figure out who you are, it's a constant battle. It's a constant question of, is this who I am, or is this someone else? Am I taking something else on? And everything that you like, oh well, I like this, but every time you're always questioning, is this me or is this someone else?
Always.
And like, and so
Always.
yeah, like so, and you can have overlapping things. It's okay for you to like something and for someone else to like something too,
Or
and for
somebody
you
to
like it because,
introduce you to something. But that's the
and
problem that
then
I have
but
is
you're
like,
constantly questioning it,
mm-hmm,
and it's a big struggle.
mm-hmm,
Um,
and
yeah,
terrifying.
because it never goes. It is never goes away because you're always like, I don't know if this is me. Is this me?
Right. And you know what I hate? Because
Mhm.
like circling back, using that corporate speak,
Mhm.
circling back to
Yeah.
putting me on that pedestal. So many people get this
Mhm.
impression of me, and I hate this. They're like, you are perfect. I'm like, the fuck I am. I am not fucking
Oh,
perfect. You are like,
yeah.
well, no, we know you have flaws,
Yeah.
but no, do not use that word to me. Like, do not,
Yeah.
because I don't know how many times, like, so many people, man, woman, doesn't matter. You like employer, like whatever, like, you are so perfect. I am not fucking perfect. I am not. And then when I mess up or I make a mistake or I actually, like, they say, all of a sudden it's just the fall from that pedestal. And it's just like, I am not perfect. Do I contain characteristics about my personality and my thought process and who I am that you find attractive or you find
Mhm.
heartwarming or comforting or safe with? Yes. Okay. Do I possess those things? Is that me putting myself down when I tell you I'm not perfect? No, that is not me
Mhm.
demoralizing myself. That is not me self-deprecating. That is me trying to make very clear that I do not want to be put on this pedestal that you're putting me on.
Yeah. Absolutely. And people are quick. I mean, I did that to you for the longest
You
time,
still
even
do
after
that
the
to me
recovery.
sometimes.
Yeah. I try. So the problem I have with saying, well, you were this thing, you were this thing, you were that thing, is because we've had these conversations.
Right.
Like for me to look at you and go, oh, you're so strong. You know you always persevere. You always get through this. You're the strongest person I know. When you tell people these things, you're actually conveying something and potentially putting something on the person that they don't want.
Mhm.
Like, okay, yeah, you're strong, but that doesn't mean that you always got it together. And like when you look at people and say, "Oh, you always got it together," I bet they don't. But what you're doing is you're telling them that I see you as someone who always has it together, and they feel obligated to always have it together. Which means, guess what they don't do? They're not honest with you when they don't have it all together.
A lot. Yeah. I mean, facts, Blue
Mm,
Ellie. I mean, like,
yeah.
I know Blue Ellie, and I know,
Mhm.
like you're talking about. I know the stuff that she's going through or that she's gone through, and but she gives off this very, like, she's an amazing person, but that doesn't mean she's not struggling,
Mhm. Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that she needs
Yep.
to put up a face to make somebody else comfortable.
Mhm.
I mean, that doesn't make her any less amazing.
Yeah.
But I hate being called perfect. I hate it when it's like,
Mhm.
you're the perfect woman. Oh my God. If I had a fucking dollar for every time
Yeah.
I heard somebody be like, you're the perfect woman. Okay. So you think I'm the perfect woman because, again, I tell it like it is, and I'm smart, and I'm all of these things that are on this fucking generic list that everybody wants, and you're beautiful and you're all these
Mhm.
things. Okay. Well, how about the bad days when when I'm at, my brain is going, oh, okay, we're going to hit you with all of your body dysmorphia, your depression, your anxiety, and your BPD.
Mhm.
Let's hit you with all of those and see how well that, like, you think I'm perfect when I'm raging, or I'm feeling like I imposter syndrome and I'm feeling insecure. Like all of these things, like all of those things are a part of who I am. But like, and that's also the like, oh, you have those things, but you have no idea how severe it is. Or they have this idea of
Yeah.
like, I can live with that. Can you really live with that? Can you? Like, can you?
Yeah. and until you've been experienced that, you really don't know. It's a very and as Jay mentioned, like it's very different when it's the person when it goes from like being out to being in, and all of a sudden your friend, this person that you think is perfect, needs help and is struggling. And
then
okay, so what
the part that pisses me off, and then we're talking about impressions, this other person, you get this idea of who I am. You finally see who I really am, or your perception of me changes because of life. And then you want to blame me. You're not at all who I thought you were. You want to blame me because you got the wrong impression, because I gave off this. And you want to blame me and hold me fucking accountable because you got it stuck in this idea that my impression, the impression that you received of me, or that you wanted to hold on, the perception of me that you wanted to see. You held on to that perception. When you finally saw me for who I really am, you then want to blame me for that? You know how often I was like, you're not at all who I thought you were. Well, that's not my doing. That's on you.
That isn't. Yeah, that's exactly. That's the problem. And that's the problem with the whole first impressions thing, is like, we got your impressions have to we should adapt with reality.
Well, Twizzlers are amazing. That's why you have them.
Twizzlers are fantastic. Yes.
But yeah, that's the part that I have with like the impressions, and that's, and I'm fighting. I guess I'm just fighting this a lot because of this weekend, because so many people have this impression that I am this heartless monster.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not really from anything that you have directly done. It's that they have an expectation of how you will act, how you respond,
and how I should
based
act.
on how you should act. Yes. And so instead of giving space for, okay, I don't really know this person, I don't know their dynamic, especially when it comes to family. So many people project their own family stuff, and they go, well, she's your mother, she's your family, nothing. Yeah, you don't know me exactly. So
it's the whole, I've been only getting one side, and maybe it's time to bury the hatchet.
But see, to me, that's a dichotomy. It's, hey, I'm only getting one side of it, so I know my view is like, I'm sure you see. To me, the follow up is, I'm only getting one side, so I know there's something going on that I don't know. Okay, and maybe, hey, can you help me understand? Like, I can maybe understand the curiosity. Like, there's a whole nother side to this that I'm not getting. Can you help me understand this? But he doesn't. He actually goes the opposite direction. He goes, I'm only getting one side, so you should ignore everything that you've been dealing with. Like, to me, that's like falling right into the trap, right up. That's what blew my mind when I was like, really? That's where that was messed up. Yeah. I get pissed off.
I know. I like, the golden retriever got really protective there for a minute. I was like,
yes, that does happen. Yeah.
My dragon.
Exactly, right?
No, the hatchet is there for a reason.
My first thought is, I can tell you where to bury that hatchet.
That's what I thought. I was like, yeah, let me tell you where I could take the hatchet. And it's not even, it's like it's not even making that other person accountable. It's taking that impression that they have of me and it being all on me. And that's the impression that he has.
Yeah.
And that some of these people have, that the impression is of me and the perception is of me that they have is that it is my fault, that it is my responsibility to make things right, and that I should do that. And I'm like, and these people, and I'm just like, and I struggle with that because, again, my trauma and my ideal is like, I struggled with I had to go and reevaluate my boundary, and I had to go reevaluate what is best for me. Am I in a place that maybe, because boundaries are either permanent or you can change your boundaries. Like
you can change them.
Can change. Boundaries can evolve, and because you evolve, it changes.
Yes.
And I had to come face to face with that in my evaluation of that and what is best for me. And the reality
Mhm.
is, just in those statements, just in that thought, and like seeing where the mindset of it these people have of me, and I'm going,
Mhm.
it wouldn't matter. And I told my therapist this because the impression
Mhm.
is they still have in their head that I'm old me. And the moment I will sit here and go, okay, I will bury the hatchet, I will make amends, I will make the sacrifice. All of a sudden, everybody goes, oh, she's back in the picture. Boom. And you know what?
Mhm.
No,
It's yeah,
no,
it's not a single moment. It is the ripple effect of that moment.
right.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
Mhm.
I don't have to do that.
No, you
And
don't.
you know what?
Not at
If I
all.
were making amends, it wouldn't be for me. And that's the truth.
Mhm.
You're going to regret it. No, actually, I won't.
Mm-mm.
I don't regret it.
Nope.
I don't regret it now, and I won't regret it then. Will I be sad? Yes. Will I be sad because I don't want anything bad to happen? Yes, absolutely. Will I regret the choices that I made? No,
Nope, not at all.
no.
Because you made the right choice for you.
Pick my heart.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can
Yep.
pick my heart and I can let down my boundary or I can go no and and understanding that these people's perception of me are going to be what they are. And I'm going to have to fight that perception. And they may confront me about it
Yep.
and they may say something to me about it or they may whatever, and they can. That
Mhm.
is
Yep.
absolutely their right. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to
Mhm.
hold to that,
Mhm.
but I have no regrets.
Yeah.
Think what you want of me.
'Cause yep. 'Cause you know if you gave up your boundary, it wouldn't be sufficient. Because there would always be the next thing. So you gave up this one, so now you gotta give up this one, so now you get and at any point where you stop that and you go, "Okay, no, 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 I gotta re-erect this boundary," that's right when they switch. So there's always something that they're gonna be upset about. So you might as well be true to who you are and protect yourself from the beginning instead of going down the slippery slope
Of
and
hope.
hating both yourself and this yeah, oh, it'll be different.
And I'm
Oh,
not doing, and I wouldn't
maybe
be doing it for my peace, like protect your peace. Like I wouldn't be
mhm,
doing it for, yeah, like if I were to, I would be doing it because, to be honest, I would be doing it to try to change their perception of me. Me speaking up and
mhm,
saying these things would not be for me. It would be for me trying to change their point of view of me. It would be me trying to counteract, like head off at the
mhm,
past, what they're going to say about me in the future, what they're going to think about me in the future. And you know what? That's an emotional manipulation. And that's like
yeah,
I'm not doing that anymore. Like I'm not doing like
trying to control other people's perception of you. Mhm,
pass me the poison apple, think I'm evil. It's fine. I don't fucking care. And that's the thing is
yeah,
I truly don't. I truly don't.
mhm.
And that's sort of weird. I'm sitting in the weirdness.
Yeah, it feels weird, doesn't it? Yeah. Mhm, but I think that shows progress.
I'm trying.
Mhm.
My therapist earned
You
her
are,
money
yeah.
this weekend.
I I think in previous years, this situation would have garnered a different response from you, a stronger reaction from you.
You think
I
so?
think it would have hit you differently.
Like what
Yeah.
kind? Like what do you think? What do you mean?
I think you would have been more. I think you would have been more racked with guilt about the situation. I mean, I remember in previous years, s- any sort of interaction or the potential interaction would send you into a spiral. And so protecting yourself looked very different. Like it was a lot more intense. Whereas now you're just like, no, no, I'm not playing that game. I'm not doing that. I'm not breaking my own boundary. I'm not going. No, like you said, you're like, yeah, yeah. I'm sad about. I may be sad about this. It's a lot. There's a lot of nuance here. I'm sad about this. I can be sad about this happening, but that doesn't mean I have to change this or break my boundary or regret what I've done. You can have both of these. Get a what? Oh my god.
Why is it weird, Calvino? What's
Yeah.
what were
weird?
you doing that makes it weird?
Right?
Is it a weird texture? Because then we need to talk. Like somebody need antibiotics. Like just
There's meds for that.
there's meds for that. I'm just saying. If it's like jelly, we need to talk.
Or Jello.
Watch it wiggle, see it jiggle, cool and fruity. I think that
Well, that took a turn.
I think that fighting the perception and really, I think you and I both. I mean, I think we still to this day really fight against trying to make an impression on a certain impression on people.
Yes.
Y'all need showers. I mean, facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time thinking. We still spend time thinking about what is the impression that I'm going to make, as opposed to just being ourselves, and the impression is the impression. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It is difficult. We are people pleasers. We spend a lot of our time trying to present something as opposed to just being yourself.
Okay, last question, and this is probably going to take us a good 10 or 15 minutes to. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna.
I'm ready.
Okay. So, how did the church train you to give off first impressions?
Are we wrapping up this session? Are we wrapping up this episode? Or are we starting this episode? Because it feels like we're starting the episode.
How did the church train you? And while you do that, I gotta pee.
Oh, okay. Here's a conversational grenade. Blink, clunk. I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh God, how did the church was all about perceptions. The verse that talks about avoid even the appearance of sin. That was belabored at my church. So it wasn't even that whether or not you're doing anything that's sinful. It's that people might think you're doing something that's wrong, and you got to avoid even the thought of the possibility. Don't make your neighbor stumble. Don't make there's so much that I was taught about how to affect other people's perception. I'm supposed to be like when I was young and ADHD. I'm supposed to be quiet. I'm supposed to act a certain way. I'm supposed to, oh God, the happy one. Oh, Christians have a joy that nobody else has, right? The joy of Christ. Like, and so you're like, so when I didn't feel joy, I thought something was wrong with me.
Oh,
I'm like,
yes.
Oh, I must be. If I'm not happy all the time, something's wrong. I must not be praying hard enough. There must be sin in my life if I don't have this joy that they all talk about. Yeah. So it's always, I have to be happy. I can't tell anyone there's anything wrong. I don't want to burden someone else with my problem.
You always had to come off as happy and helpful and humble and like that. Mm-hmm. That was the you always had to come up with you had to come up as happy, humble, helpful, all the H's. You know, you had to come out as holy, like
patient.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like
you have to. Yes, you always have to be willing to help people. Like there was no boundaries. The concept. You were not allowed boundaries. Yeah, it was. Blue Ellie, you are absolutely correct. Don't draw attention to yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the church had a massive effect on the way that we presented ourselves. It was a joke, but there was so much truth to the joke. Where you're in the car on the way to church, and you're getting fussed at and spanked and yelled at, and like the car ride to church is absolute
awful
chaos.
It's awful. Like before you even leave.
But the moment you got out of the car or opened the church doors, it was a light switch.
Oh,
all
yeah.
of a sudden you're the perfect family.
All of a sudden your
Everything's
parents are
wonderful.
happy and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Talk about whiplash. Yeah, especially when you started, it was like whiplash. You're like, wait, hold on. And and so everything's happy, and you're like, okay, so the church is over, and you're like, okay, great. So maybe I made my parents upset, but now they're okay, and all right, like it'll be fine. I'll get home, and it'll be fine. You walk out the door, and that parent from before comes back, and all of a sudden everything's not okay, and you're still in just as much trouble. It's emotional, mental whiplash.
And that, as a
Yeah.
kid, then tricks you into thinking
Yeah.
that the church is a safe space.
Ooh.
So
Oh, yeah.
there's Pep
Yes.
not thinking about that. There's Pep coming
Oh.
to a realization. There you go. Okay, you're welcome.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
Go off, Pep.
I have my rants every once in a while.
We haven't had a good Arugs right in a while. That's fine.
Yeah. But you're right. That's very true.
And like I was supposed to
Um,
come off again. Give out the church taught us to have give off this
Yeah.
impression. It's-
And as a female, it's different. See, that's where you and I had quite different experiences. Because as a female, it's even very different. That's especially where the sit down, shut up, be quiet. You're not supposed to talk. You're not be seen and not heard. Like that's very different.
Don't be
From
argumentative.
mine.
Don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
Don't have a
Mhm.
dissenting opinion.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to know that. Your husband will take care of that. You don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
How dare you voice you just need to accept it. You just have to you'll just you just have to trust God. You just have to be faithful. Yeah. Don't be concerned. All these things that these questions that you have, all of these concerns and things in your head, that's of the devil. The devil is putting these thoughts in your head. You just need to trust God.
You just concentrate on being a good wife and mother.
Oh God.
And always be happy about
Mhm.
that. Just be happy that
Always
you
be
are a
happy.
wife and a mother. Let me give you that impression. Motherhood is motherfucking hard. There is I love my hatchlings more than anything in the fucking
Mhm.
world. I love them with every ounce of my being. But I'm telling you right now, motherhood is not something that I'm always going to be happy and smiley about. Because here's why: I get overstimulated because I am neurodivergent. So that whole mom, give me a hug, mom, this. Oh my fucking God! And here's the other thing: is that because I am a cycle breaker, here I am. Is that my kids? They get all smart mouthy and they're like, well, I know you told me to do this, but I'm going to voice how I feel about it. And I'm going to voice what I think about it. Now they're going to probably do it because they know that when I'm coming after them, that's just the way it is. But they're certainly going to voice how much they don't like it and how much their opinion. There's no shutting up and just doing it with my kids. Nah. My kids I decided I wanted to grow. I wanted to raise children that, feel safe, emotionally, mentally safe with me, that they can express how they feel. And you know what? Sometimes how they feel is not quite how I want them to feel, and it fucking sucks. And you know what? I'm supposed to be grateful and appreciative, and I'm supposed to always smile and be fucking happy. But you know what? I love my kids with everything, and I would lay down my life for them. But there are times that I sometimes want to throw water balloons at them because it's just like, what the hell? Why? And my youngest, my bless her, she is so smart and she's got everything. And I'm like, she has got herself opinions. And you know what? I am glad that is going to serve her later in life, except when I need her to clean her goddamn room. And then all of a sudden she's no. And motherhood is not fucking fun. Motherhood is a trial. And there are parts of it are fun. And there are other parts where my kids are traumatizing me. And as a cycle breaker, I'm trying not to go, I cannot beat my children. But now I understand why my parents did. I just don't understand. Validating that feeling. Oh, let me try to validate my feelings while I'm also trying to validate validate yours. And here, while I am healing my trauma that my mother left on me, let me try to not leave the same type of trauma on you. I am pulling double time, folks, and it's not that fun. And you want me to act all happy and Susie homemaker about that? And let's not even get started on being a fucking spouse. Let's not start. Let's not get me started on being a spouse and how great I'm supposed to. Oh, I'm supposed to always think that he's the most wonderful thing since sliced bread and always smile and support him. What the fuck? Let's like let us talk. Let us talk about how he was just over there being an asshole, and I'm just like, oh, I'm supposed to smile, and like how his points of view are like, oh yeah, like how is he supposed to have an opinion on what I do with my own body? But that's okay. I can just like
There it is. We were just saying how we hadn't had a Arug's rant in a little while. You all right? Those are all absolutely valid. Yeah. And see, the church doesn't allow for that. The church doesn't allow for, I love my kids and they drive me nuts. Right? They all they allow for is, oh, motherhood is fantastic. Motherhood's wonderful. Motherhood is the best calling ever. There's nothing better that you're like, I can love my kids and want to hit them with water balloons. It's okay. I can do both. I can lovingly hit them in the face with a water balloon.
Blue Ellie was talking, like I messaged her one time while we were in Charlotte and I said, can you help me hide my children's bodies? She goes, I got to draw the line at children. I was like, God damn it. She goes, yeah, no. She goes, you're going to be fine. I go, yeah. She goes, no. I'm like, fine. She goes, breathe.
Oh my God. Aren't small terrors on so many levels? Yeah. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Because it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine.
The church doesn't. When we grew up, the church didn't deal in realities. The church dealt in perceptions. The church dealt in what they wanted people to think. Like, what are people gonna think if you're a Christian but you're not happy all the time? Like, they'll think that I'm real? Like, where do you get this idea from that that the joy of Christ means I'm going to be happy all the time? Why can't I have, like, the church never dealt in the ands. It was always, you have to do this or that. Never allowed for the nuances and the possibilities of more than one thing existing at the time. Maybe that's why I struggle with the black and white so much.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. All right.
I love how we both had the same. We're like, that's like,
yeah, religious trauma. There you go. Mm-hmm. It's a thing. So
the need water balloons too. Maybe rocks to the face. Never to the face.
not the face. Just anywhere else.
Just not the face. And not in the hair. Oh, that's something different. Oh, wait, my bad.
Are we talking about water balloons? Okay. Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Impressions.
Perception.
Too much emphasis on the first impression. Too much emphasis on making and receiving the first impression. The goal is to just be who we are, and the person's going to accept it or not accept it. And it's on.
We should make it a challenge. Let's make it just meet, because your therapist told you had to meet new people, right? We should make it a
sort of.
Yeah. So we should make it a challenge where we try to give. Okay, we each get like, okay, I want you to give this impression, and then like just go and try to give that impression to that person.
Oh my God. Wait. See, on my anxiety scale, that's like a 6 or 7. I'm not there in my exposure therapy.
I was like, it's exposure therapy. It's fine.
Yeah, but that's deep end. That's like, I don't think that's my therapy approved.
Oh my God. It's just like, the difference between dipping your toe in the water and then jumping in, just jump right in. It won't be that bad afterwards, but you slowly try to stick your foot in. Then all of a sudden you'll never get in.
God. I'll get in just a little at a time. It starts with the tip.
And then you ask, is it in yet?
Yep. Are we there yet?
And with that,
we're gonna wrap this up.
do you know what I do or deal with? I mean, that's fair. That's fair, buddy. That's fair. How about Pep meet 3 new people this week? Ooh!
I will define meet, like talk to, or like have a whole conversation with. Like,
I love the fact that you're trying to find a caveat for that. All right, Pep, are you gonna do the closing out or what? I'm not, because I don't.
I was okay. Nerdy Will did it. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week. There you go. No. Don't worry about your first impressions. Just worry about being yourself. That's the goal.
Oh, there you go. You're not gonna tell people at Tuesday, Wednesday, and all that stuff? Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, so today is Sunday, right? All right. So Tuesday is 3 Bars and a Dragon at 7:30 Eastern, and we're going on dates. We're going on a date, like everybody, right?
Yeah.
We're dating. It's the dating life for us. Oh God. So 7:30 Eastern on the Team_AOA channel. Then Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, usually I'm on at 7:30 on Wednesday. However, this week, the new show for Bronner, Ray, and Nick is starting. The inaugural episode of Dorks on Demand, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
It's Dorks on Demand. So they have started. So they were doing CCTV. They've spun off into their own thing. And I am so excited about their show. Their show is at 7:00 Eastern on YouTube. The first one is this Wednesday. It's normally going to be on Thursdays, but the first one is this Wednesday. So to tune in. What do you remember? Is the name of the channel Dorks on Demand?
It's
what is it?
BRB space.
That's right.
Network.
BRB Network. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, the thing is the BRB Network. So it's also, I posted it to Instagram, to Insta, and I think you posted it to Insta.
I'm going to. Facebook. I haven't yet, but yeah.
Okay. So look for that. Please go subscribe to their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The BRB Network. I'm so excited. So anyway, Wednesday. So I may do Lego streaming after they finish. I don't know how long it's going to go. Maybe an hour. So look for me to go live after they stream. And that's Wednesday. So, but their show is going to be on Thursday.
Yeah, theirs is Thursday. So now it's going to be Team AOA on Tuesdays, Pep on Wednesdays, and then the BRB Network, Dorks on Demand on Thursdays. Yeah.
Yep. So catch them on Thursday at 7:00 Eastern, and then that'll bring us back to Sunday, waking up, and then of course look for us to go live. Any of us to go live while we're gaming or doing whatever we happen to be doing. So yeah, there we go.
That's Yay! All right.
Yay! All right, we good?
I think we're good.
Go make a first impression.
Get the fuck out! Bye, everybody.
Bye.